I think the Founders Panel has been a format since the first edition we had. It's also maybe my favorite part as well. I'll start with a short introduction, just asking a few questions to everybody, and then I have a few burning questions myself that I just really want to ask, and then it's again up to the audience to ask you most questions. Tibbe, I'll start with you as you're first on my slide, and I prepared it that way. A few questions I'll ask all of you. How do you explain to your grandma what you're doing?
It's funny because it was one of the questions that the journalist of the TED asked me, and it's of course to create a title of the article. I told them that we want to create the new school green Unilever with as healthy and as sustainable products as possible, and distributing it D2C and also via partners, but direct via partners, not via distributors or whatever in between, to keep our margins to really create a healthy and sustainable products.
Okay, second question, how has 2024 been so far?
Intense. Just told Dimitri that we have a lot of things going on. We are opening 7 pop-up stores end of year. We have 2 shops and all the other shebang that's going on. And it's very intense for the team at the moment. So, in numbers-wise, we are doing really good. That's really nice to see, and we have a really nice team. So, I'm very grateful for that.
All right. I think on the unified commerce, you're one of the examples we often talk about. But which sales channels are you using? So you have your own web shop, you have your own stores, you have pop-ups as well. You sell through other web shops and stores as well. Is that covering everything?
Yeah, since the start I believed very much in an omni-channel strategy. Some people were shouting at the time, D2C is the way to go. I always believed omni-channel is the way to go, but D2C is a very important channel, of course. We're opening stores, that's more to give an experience, to be out there in the streets. We work with a lot of pharmacies, 700 pharmacies that we approach one by one with a lot of franchise supermarkets for Klaar, the other brand. So marketplaces, supermarkets, pharmacies, our own channels, that's indeed what we do.
And then we beforehand asked the audience to hand in some questions already. For you, a specific question that was asked was one around focus. I think it's something that all entrepreneurs here get as advice. If I look on the slide, you don't only work with multiple sales channels, you also do it for multiple brands. How do you still keep focus, or how does it make sense for you?
Well, this it feels for a lot of people that we have not a lot of focus, but actually we do have a lot of focus, because we could have developed, and we are specialists on R&D, we develop products, and we could have placed it all under the umbrella Planet B. One Planet B brand for all the products, because it has the same audience, it's in the same household. But the thing is, if you ask people, would you buy skin cream from Ecover? Most people would answer no. But it's to be in the same household. So we put it in sub-brands, but in the back end we have a master Shopify, headless stores, connected to them. We really do our database for all the brands. So we try to find as much synergies as possible between the brands, and we really believe that that is also the way to grow, because you can keep on bidding on Facebook, and indeed the customer acquisition costs get higher and higher. But I believe in collaborating, uniting, as long as it is the same style of brands and the same audience. I have, of course, every entrepreneur sees a lot of opportunities. Zwangerigi and Chucky came to me, don't you want to do like e-commerce with samples and beat kits and all those things? And I was really triggered, but that would be day focus. So I feel like we have a certain focus, and complexity comes with the right people and funding. And if we don't find those two, then we will not add complexity.
All right, thank you. Toine, you're next on my slides, so you're next to answer the questions. How do you explain to your grandma what you're doing?
Yeah, so if it's for a grandma, it means they have grandchildren. So I would say we make sure your grandchild plays the main role in a book together with Boomba, K3, Paw Patrol, soon Gabby's Dollhouse. But not only books, it's also personalized blankets, backpacks, towels, Christmas sweaters going live today, I think. So what we do is we personalize. So we aim to become the global place for personalized children's products.
Okay, nice. How has 2024 been so far? I think still an important part of 2024 needs to happen for you.
Yes, about 75% of revenue is still coming in the coming 1.5 month. So no other team members here. And I've been working here in the bakery, which is a very nice bakery. Anyway, so yes, very important part still coming. But we have signed 2 very big deals. So we have one of our biggest licenses is Paramount. So they do SpongeBob, of course, but also Paw Patrol for the mothers and fathers out there, probably well known. And then we scaled that deal up from only books to any product that's personalized globally. And we've done the same with Universal. So that is the Minions, Gabby's Dollhouse, and so on. So that's a very big one, but it is not seen in revenue yet. So I think at the moment we're at +50, +60% year on year. But we aim to go ×3, which is pretty tight for the next 1.5 months.
All right, and which channels are you selling? It's a personalized product. Is it only online?
Yes.
And
We've tried, but firstly we tried also doing like stores, online stores, like for example Dreamland and so on. But that was more complicated for them and was a huge sales process. And then we also did like the physical stores, like Dreamland physical store, and same problem there. So we saw that the sales cycles were so long that the only way to do it is actually like a pop-up or something like that, where I fully agree for Tibbe's case, I think I would do the same. But if you look at our revenue per capita, we are, like in terms of the revenue we make per country, it's relatively limited because we're relatively niche. So it would not make sense yet to go to physical stores.
all right, thank you. And then the question that came in for you was actually on the partnerships. I see Studio 100 and so on. I think we can still imagine how that should go. But then Universal, Paramount, Hasbro, how do you get those partnerships?
Good question. A lot of persistence. And I've calculated actually Universal was the fastest ever in terms of reminders, but the Paramount deal took me around 100 reminders over a full year. So happy that finally signed. So I think Studio 100 is a funny story because that was the start. We saw it was K2 searches K3, and we were doing personalized products. So the natural question was, why is the K3 not any child in Belgium or the Netherlands? And that's when we started with like, okay, let's try and set up a license. But we couldn't do that book, so we did another book, and that's how we started with licensing. Paramount, I waited in front of a booth they had somewhere for an hour or two. Currently working on Disney, where we had people from our team actually walking through a venue to find the right person for a whole day, and then spot them and let me know so I could go to them and actually kind of tackle them, which was kind of bad, but it worked. So working on that one. So it's every single one. It's just persistence, yes. But always happy when they finally get signed.
Right, I hope the reminders were automated at least.
No, zero
Nice.
automated, which I would also recommend sometimes. I think the ones where someone can spot that it's automated, I don't react to it. And for me, there's only 10 deals I need to sign, of which 5 very big ones. So I think it's worth every single minute of my time to get them signed.
All right, nice. Julie, you're third on my slide. Can you explain again what you do to your grandma?
Yeah, So we make urban reflective clothing and accessories. So it started when I saw a lot of people wearing yellow safety vests out there when they were cycling or bringing their kids to school. So I made it more fun and fashionable, like good-looking safety clothing.
How has 2024 been so far for you?
It's an exciting year. We had a lot of new developments. We shifted the web shop from WooCommerce to Shopify. That was a really big one. But we did it several times because we do D2C, but also 50% of revenue is B2B. So we also made Shopify for B2B in the US, and also D2C in the US is new. And also we updated like the Amazon marketplaces, as that's also a sales channel of us. So we are like everywhere finding our customers. So a lot of work, a lot of content to make this year.
So, of course.
How big as a percentage is your Amazon marketplace?
It's the smallest. It's not 10%, but I hope with the new US as a new market, it's very clear in all the research we did the last years that we need to be there because, most US customers buy on Amazon, especially for like more functional products. They're using Amazon as a search engine, so we just need to be there. So hopefully will all the work pay off. And we have one good thing already happening this year. So we are featured in Oprah's Favorite Things. It's like a Christmas list of Oprah linked to our Amazon store. So I hope the next weeks, they will have a huge sales because of that. But
Nice. So that just happened.
Yes,
recently?
1 week ago, but we had first the election, so it was a bit bumpy start, I think. But I hope now holiday season is starting that we will have huge advantage of that.
So I think you already answered the channels question. Maybe then US as a market doesn't seem super logical starting from here. What's the logic behind it, or is it just Oprah driven?
No, not at all. No, so our customer is everyone who is outdoor. I started with cycling mostly to focus on that. But then we noticed along the way that people bought it to cycle often, but then start using it for running. And then we get feedback of the customers like, it's not so breathable for running. It's also quite big because we made it to fit over a jacket. So we were, looking into the running category, and it's actually very huge, like B2B as well, especially in the US. There is like, we have here in every little town, we have a cycling store, but in the US you have in every little town, you have a run specialty store. And we did some tests, D2C, I think now 3 years ago, targeting our potential US customer. And we saw there was potential and they shopped our products. So we did more research and more development. In the meantime, we developed a running category in product line. And 1 year ago, I moved someone of the team over. She lives in New York now and doing the business development. We started more B2B in the US because like the system and the logistic, the warehousing had to everything had to be in place. That's settled now, so now we can also start growing the D2C side of the business.
Nice. Question we got for you was, I think from one of the marketing people in the audience, is how do you look at investing in brand compared to investing in short-term conversions that lead to immediate revenue?
Yeah, I think that's the most difficult thing. We actually had a team discussion yesterday about, what's if the sales like B2B is not going as expected? What will we do D2C to like close the gap? Because you can do a lot of things D2C to let people convert faster. But we're also building a brand, so we don't want to be like a discounting brand and like showing discounts or free shipping or all these things all the time. It's very, very difficult discussions. We try to find a balance and to do the same things D2C as B2B, like offering also some special things to our resellers if we do something online. But it's hard, and you have to do a lot of things. Yeah, we built a brand and invest in content, of course, D2C, but we also offer it to the B2B customer. But yeah, you also have to invest in a lot of marketing, physical materials, and train also the B2B customers. And I think that's the hardest thing to do these days.
Yep. All right, thank you. Brent, you're the last one on my slides. How do you explain to your grandma what you're doing?
That's a more difficult one. I think most of the people mainly know us as a sport nutrition company, but we're developing software from the beginning to capture as many health data as possible to optimize health and performance with insights and also with now personalized supplements.
Okay, I hope you have a smart grandma. How has 2024 been so far?
It's been a tough one, but also a big one for us because we're since 2017 writing our software to make the DNA interpretations, and since this year we're having all our data fusion machine learning algorithms to link other data sources like wearable data, blood data, questionnaires, and other data to come next year to the DNA data, and to link it together. You can see it a bit as we do it now, it are different silos, so we're look at it as fragmented data, but we're bringing it together, and this way you can get way deeper insights, and that was a big one for us that we could launch that this year.
All right, which channels are you using to sell?
At the moment we're mainly direct to consumer, so we're selling through a Shopify store, and beside that we're also we have a B2B part, so B2B part in a stores offline, but also a B2B part to sports teams, to health kiosks, to performance centers, so that is also a sales channel for us.
All right, and the question we received for you beforehand is, you offer personalized supplements. Personalized is often being used a bit in a wrong way, maybe if it's definitely if it's about supplements. So how personalized is your personalized?
Really personalized. So what we're doing is, we're combining all data, as I explained before. And to give an example, for example, for vitamin D, we can look into your DNA. We can look at the whole pathway into, okay, how is your skin? How are you going to absorb vitamin D through sunlight? And then we can look at, okay, how is your liver going to convert to vitamin D? And then we can look at the blood data. Okay, how high or low is your vitamin D? Then we can look at, okay, is your kidney going to convert the blood data enough, or is your under limit? It needs to be higher than for someone else. And then we can look at way more data into, okay, where are you living? Is there enough, or is the UV index high enough? Are you taking any medicines? And then we can use all data to know, okay, do you have a deficiency at the moment, and how is your body absorbing vitamin D? And then we can put it in our supplement, but also not only vitamin D, but also other vitamins or minerals which can have an impact on the vitamin D homeostasis, as for example magnesium or boron. And we can combine 40 ingredients at the moment into our personalized supplements, to give you the optimal formula for each month with exactly the ingredients that you need. All
right, thank you. Bringing the discussion back a bit to unified commerce. For instance, for you, Brent, you have very personalized supplements here, as you explained. But also people, they need to buy DNA tests, and they ideally have blood results as well. Are you able to actually sell it through other resellers, other platforms as well, or will it just be purely D2C for you?
Yeah, it's a tough one for us at this point. It's something also we struggle with, because we see there is some B2B potential, and there are some B2B partners asking to sell it, but like it needs to happen at our place, because we need to do like all the data captation, and we need to like to make the supplements for them. Like they don't it's not like a normal supply chain where they can like stock certain products and sell them. But we're looking into like several solutions like to get or to use B2B as an accelerator for what we're doing.
All right, Tibbe, for you, multiple channels, multiple brands again. What do you feel is like the most difficult on trying to unify the experience per brand? I think through all the channels you have, what's the hardest thing about it?
Well, yeah, I think brand building is like on top of it. The distribution is more the access to the brand, and of course, in everything we look at how can we do brand building there, like to go back to the shops or pharmacies. In every pharmacy, every shop that we are partner with, we try to place a floor display, a very good floor display that is with very good text. But it's mental and physical availability. I think everybody knows those two words, but it's just so what's the hardest in unifying this experience? Yeah, I always say to the team that I believe more in uniformity than in aesthetics. Of course, everything needs to be as aesthetic as possible, but I always place uniformity above. So if we need to make choices and they comment, but this is much more beautiful, uniformity is the first one for me.
All right, thank you. Julie, for you, a bit the same question. I see you're distributing products in places like BubblyDoo, but even at bike stores as well, but also at Helan Zorgwinkels. It's a quite big distribution in type of places you're offering your products. How do you still try to get in the same brand or the same experience to that customer in all of those different places?
Yeah, that's a hard one. We try to guide them as much as possible, but for example, a stupid example is like in cycling stores. Most people working there are like men, and they want to sell bikes or like work on bikes, have dirty hands. So often when people like touch your product or try it, like the zipper is open, it's like hanging there, so it's quite frustrating. So we try to educate them, but I think that's really difficult. I think we're not 100% successful there. I think we offer like nice materials for them to place in store, but it's very difficult to do the same in every store. Like he says as well, we have the spread is very wide. Like an online as Helan, they use our materials and our customers go there. But a running store is like more open to follow our presentation. Cycling store less. We have children's stores, so we now also have like dog stores. I think we have to be like on top with the online and really show as a brand who we are and educate as much as possible. But it's not 100% everywhere. It's something I have to live with.
For you, Toine, unified commerce is a bit simpler for you, while it's still all online. Any things on, again, what have you tried? You've looked at pop-ups and so on, doesn't make sense for you. It's a lot easier for you than to communicate and make sure that customer actually gets the same experience throughout?
No, I think it's like similar problem, the personalization part. Like, for example, we're now testing Amazon as well. It's starting to take off, like 150 products per week, so it's nothing really, but we're getting there. But the difficulty is like Amazon's personalization engine is honestly crap. So you gotta like make a half version, and I like the word renting the customer. I heard it somewhere. That's kind of for us what we do with Amazon. We try to get new customers in with a worse experience and so on. But for us, it's really focus on actually how can we get our website in front of as many channels as possible, rather than really looking at it as how can we get our products in front of as many people as possible. So what we try to do is, for example, we actually have a version of our website that can run on Shopify. We don't use Shopify, but we built an API to put our personalization engine into Shopify, and then try to sell it to other like B2B channels. Like, okay, can we use our customization engine and our products to be sold, for example, on Hashit website? But they cannot do the marketing. They're just not good at it. They've never done it. They're just totally focused on the physical stores. So that was a no. But I also think you got to focus on your winners. And we found that what works very well for us is the basics. Meta, Google is working incredibly well, and I think if that's the case, you gotta double down on that one. So that's what we're doing at the moment. From the moment we cannot grow fast enough there, I think we will definitely consider other options.
All right, mentioning Shopify, we do our best.
Sorry, quickly, by the way, also I bike every morning past the store in Antwerp, the bike store, and I see GoFluo in the window. So for me, it's a very recognizable brand. Same with Wonder. I was on the Mares seeing the products, and then we have an amazing, like a lot of cyclists endorsing, and my brother-in-law using it. So for me, these three brands are definitely recognizable and already well known. But of course, I'm also a bit in the space. But anyway.
Nice. On the Shopify side, you mentioned it. You're not on Shopify. We do our best to brainwash as many people as possible and to make sure everybody is on Shopify. But maybe to give a bit of counterweight to that, and why are you not on Shopify and think mainly developing things custom?
Yes, all custom, but of course using as many like off-the-shelf software as possible. I think for us, what we try to do is give the personalized experience in every single step. So if you go to our products page, for example, and you type the name of a child, then every product changes to have the name of that child. And when a mom has the name of their child already on the products they are considering to buy, exactly. So that's why we don't use Shopify. What we are considering, though, is more custom, like where coding is way more easy than in Shopify. I think what is not optimal for Shopify, as far as I know, because I'm not an expert, is the extent of programming you can do within Shopify itself. So that is, for me, the biggest opportunity I see, is that from the moment it becomes easy to do any coding or programming in there, then I think we will probably also switch, because for us, one of the biggest hassles, we're launching around 100 products this year, and all of them are like on our own data management system. We don't use Odoo yet also, so it's all like done manually, which is kind of a hassle, but for now I think it's the best way for the customer, and from the moment I think that we can be better for the customer by using something else, we will definitely consider it.
All right, thank you. I was just curious. The other topic of the session beforehand was AI. Maybe also go through all of you. What is AI for you guys right now in the company? How are you trying to use it already? Maybe you again, Toine?
So I think for us it's a huge opportunity, but totally not for licensing, because when you want a product to be launched with the pups of Paw Patrol on there, there's like around 10 people that need to approve it. So any form of generative AI is impossible. Now, that doesn't mean we can not use AI for, like it was said earlier as well, like, okay, it is, we use it to brainstorm, but all the time there needs someone to be the final, okay, this is fine, we can give it a go. We will be probably next year tested on our in-house products, because there we have all the freedom we want, and then when that takes off, we can probably try and convince our licensors to do the same. But at the moment, we don't use it for any products. Like products, not yet. on our backend, I think we have a lot of copywriting. So we're live in 17 markets, all different languages, books. So letting your AI write books, to be honest, it doesn't work well enough, in my opinion. But please, if you guys have something, let me know. But what does work well enough is like using AI for like the basic copy, the simple copy. We use it a lot for that purpose. But that's about it. So it's not very much integrated in any way. I also don't think we have the scale to actually have a manpower focused on that, because the growth is so clear. You gotta like decide where to use your team, and it's for us not yet in that space, but it will be in Q1, Q2.
Thank you, Julie. For you?
Yeah, we started with customer service. So we totally optimized it, and also to learn like what is like the most recurring questions and stuff like that. So also a bit into products, to learn where our audiences are, like in America. I think it also works for that, for first like tests with ads, etc., to find the audience. Yeah, and of course also for content, we work with it. We did some testing with photo AI as well, but yeah, it still takes a lot of work to get it right. But I hope like in 1 year maybe we are much further and really can like do 1/3 of photo shooting and do only the variations with AI. For example, we have now a distributor in Japan. Would be cool if we have like a shoot done and then get all Asian people replaced in the pictures and then dump the photos to the distributor. Things like that.
Right. Thank you, Tibbe. For you?
I'm a huge fan. We had a beta version account with ChatGPT in the beginning with the whole team. And it's like any other tool, you need to learn it. And it's like if you learn AutoCAD, you try it for a year, you will never be as good as someone who has experienced for 10 years. We experimented a lot with it. We try to automate everything which is repetitive so that we can be busy with the most creative things. I think that's what everybody of us loves. Nobody loves repetitive tasks. I'm a huge fan of make.com, and with the integration of OpenAI in make.com, it's a whole different world. So I love it a lot. And we're experimenting with videos, photos. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you probably saw some. So yeah.
Brent, for you?
Yeah, we're doing a lot with AI, but really like internally, because yeah, we have millions of data points, and like we have our own machine learning algorithms, which is like a domain under AI. But we're doing like a lot of new developments at the moment with like the deep learning and neural networks. So it's something that really lives in the company.
All right, thank you. These were my burning questions. Now it's time for all of you to again fire your questions. I don't know where the box is, and if somebody can throw it again. Yes.
Thank you. Ooh, too close. I had a question for you, Toine. Your product is already available in many markets, including the Estados Unidos. Are you going to add more markets, or are you now focusing on getting it right in the markets that you're already present?
We're definitely the second one for this year. So we're focusing on revenue per capita in the markets that we're in. Mm-hmm. So really penetrating those markets better. By expanding product line, that's a very big one, and expanding also license range, but also by just getting people to buy again. So those are very big ones. And for next year, we are considering actually expanding our markets again. For example, the US, we do it in US English and in Latin Spanish. It's purely a inclusivity decision. We are not selling enough Latin Spanish, and I'm not focused on that. but we are very focused on the US English market. So some are not necessarily very big for us, and it's not very much a focus. At the moment, I would say it's US, France, Germany, and the Benelux that are our biggest markets, and UK scaling up pretty fast as well.
Okay, because I was also thinking you follow the languages, so maybe Mexico is the next because you have.
The language is so little work that I liked what you said about the testing part. So what we do is we test, we sell the products on a version in a language. We see if it sells with the acquisition cost we're looking for. If it doesn't, then we experiment with a few more ads. We compare that to another one, and we decide which market is best for us.
Okay.
So that's also why we went into the US relatively quickly, I think.
Okay, amazing. Thank you.
Other questions?
I have a question also for Toine that's actually a bit related to the first question, because today we also had a strategic discussion whether we should extend our product range or go to new markets. But we also heard from one of our investors that extending the product range also brings a lot of new costs that you have to deal with other suppliers. The logistics is probably different for a big bucket than for a book that's get in the letterbox. So I was wondering, profitability-wise, do you also really see the return on investment of extending your product range, and does it bring a lot more costs? And when did you decide to extend the product range and not just focus anymore on children's books, because that's a very focused product?
So we're still very much focused on personalization. And we don't do any production, we don't have any stock, so that makes the risk on launching new products way smaller. So it is not that we need to buy any stock of like 100 or like any units, so that already takes down quite a lot of the risk. And then secondly, for us, expanding product range was like a very strategic gain we could make. So because if you are selling, so for licensors, they have this this niche thing that's personalization and books, which is a double niche. And then saying we do anything personalized makes it way easier for a licensor to be in talks with us. So it was actually also from a licensor perspective that we needed to look, because in the end we kind of sell partly also their brands. So that's one. And then if we look at the customers, we see higher average order values. For every product we launch, we see increased average order value. And in terms of extra complexity, yes, agreed, it's more complicated. But as we do not do any production, any warehousing, and that's all outsourced, and it's done by companies that have a huge setup already for this, like they usually do photo products, so it's just copy paste what they've been doing, but then rather than a picture they add like an illustration. It becomes relatively easy, but still a very hard question. I think it's a question of the percentage chance of succeeding times the potential revenue.
Maybe the others, same question. How do you look at expanding product range versus expanding into new markets? How do you make the decisions, Junie?
For next year we will also focus on the key markets, and if some things come themselves, like a distributor in Korea or something like that, I will accept it, but we won't spend too much time in it. I think because we also sell D2C and B2B, it makes sense to do it together, and to also have a bit of enough focus to really reach all the customers in the potential area, not only the ones who shop online or the ones who shop in store. We still do it a bit together, because I think the cycling market for us, it's only Central Europe, like very big. So I really had to make the step towards the running, and like the dogs was like a side thing
I was
just for
wanting to ask
fun.
about the dogs, yeah.
But maybe it works out as well. But of course, then we also like use the same fabrics. The dogs, like it's all the same fabrics as my best-selling product. So then the risk is also still not too big. So yeah, it's you have to look into. Don't make too much risks. But yeah, I think. Putting everything on one market is also a risk. Like now we are in the US, but now Trump will be there again, so we will see what this means for us. So yeah, you have to diversify, I think, to also get the risks spread enough.
Right. Thank you. Tibbe, for you, how do you look at market expansion, product expansion, and maybe for you, new brands as well? How do you look at which choices you make?
Personally, I think it's about funding. I think it's more complex to enter a new market. You can get the early adapters, but then you have a certain stage that you have to flip over to real market penetration, and I think that costs a lot of money and a lot of people. If you're financially available for that, then go for that. I think adding new products to the line, if you do mostly R&D and you do outsource the production, I'm a fan of that. I think you can see that. I also look at Planet B as the lifetime value and the average order value from Planet B. It will be more and more in the future, of course, but at least the lifetime value is for me Planet B. And adding more products adds up to that a lot. So by getting steps by steps, you get financially more freedom in your business. And I think at the right time, you have to move to the right market and learn a lot, test a lot. We also learned for the last year with a lot of students, a lot of exercises about Netherlands and now Germany as well. And when I feel ready, then Q1 we go to the Netherlands. We are already now setting up in Wallonie only, so we're a lot Flanders based only, but we do 6 million now in Flanders only. So we really believed in the penetration.
Right.
To add to that, you said funding is needed. It also depends. Like I think, like your story as well, it's a lot about marketing. So if you can do it profitably, the expansion, it also makes sense. But if you know it's gonna be like spending more than your growth brings up immediately, it also makes it way harder. So for us, that was the reason we actually did it, is because it was profitable on a first unit basis. Otherwise, we would have never expanded to other markets so fast.
Ja, totally. Het is ook vraag en aanbod. Hè. Als je op Amazon de vraag hebt en je kunt het aanbod vullen. So, but in our case, we go. But in our case, we really try to build brands, and I mean, there are enough shoes in the world, but there is Nike, and you know it, right?
Brent, for you as well, how do you look at expanding markets versus expanding products? I think you work with ambassadors who are also known worldwide. Is it different for you guys compared to what you've heard?
No, it's a bit the same, but for us, like it's a bit like more difficult because we're in food and food law, so it's not that easy as with clothing that you can just like ship it from here to, like for example, Chile or Mexico or the States. So there is like a lot of regulations and all the legal stuff before you can enter certain country. But for us at this point and for next year, the main focus is on like the market expansion in Europe, mainly for health and for our data-driven approach. And to add more products is not on our focus for next year.
All right. Next question. There are a few.
Hi, thank you for an interesting conversation so far. This question actually goes out to all of you. Many sales channels have already been discussed, but I was wondering if you're following the development of live video commerce as it's popping off on TikTok and other platforms, and whether you would consider investing in it as a brand.
I think it works well with cheap products below €50. I think, yeah, the more expensive it gets, the more difficult to convince, I think, the buyer. Like, it's not an maybe less emotional or buy then. That's my experience.
In China, it's the #1 way to go, right? So if we'd go to China, then we'd go on video selling. But yeah, I think we test it, and I think for a lot of things, that's the answer I'd give. We test it with a very small budget, figure out to which extent we can make it work, and if it works, we'd scale it up. If it doesn't, we would cut it, and then retry a year later.
Tibbe, Brent, any experiences?
Yeah, we have like exact the same approach, but like for us, what we're doing is way too complex to do it like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think timing is always the most important. I don't know, is there any one of you who bought a product via this way? I think no one. And
all the time.
what?
My daughter does
Oh yeah?
all the time.
Well, interesting.
TikTok, and that I can say, TikTok is the only one where it works. Really.
Yeah. Okay, voilà. Interesting. So timing will come, that's for sure. But everything is about timing.
All right, next question.
Building on that, you made a point about mental availability. And that's one of the most difficult things to reach, because it means that you're relevant for people and a lot of people know you. And what you see is happening that if you want to grow a brand, because you're now in the brand building phase, and I've heard less about products, but more in brand building, the difficulty is that you're competing against big ones. We've both been working on the big ones in big agencies who have millions. You've seen, and then what we see also is that TV is the only way to really grow a brand very fast. It depends, because you have time to tell a story, you told about that, but you don't have the means. I'm wondering, how do you fight that? Yeah, in fact, they can crush you at any moment if they want, the big ones, or they buy you. So it's all, for me, it's interesting to understand how you think, because you see we experiment, but what do you put behind that experiment? How long does it last? Because that's one of the fundamentals in brand building, that you take time to let it grow also, your storylines.
Yeah, totally. First of all, TV costs a lot of money. It's
Depends.
Yeah, but if you really want to do it good, I heard from Edgar & Cooper that they do in France now 2 million in TV. And I hear a lot that 400,000, 500,000 is the minimum to really get off TV. Of course, you can do it for less. You can do it for 80k. You're on the slim cements, but it's very expensive. And what I think it first starts, of course, with a very good product, because you can bring a product to people, but if they don't like the product, then they will not buy again. That's the long-term return on investment. And about the brand building, yeah, I really believe a lot in brand building. Get out there and do it truthful. Like, what is your ambition and why are you doing the company that you do? What is the passion that you have for it? And bring it to the people, because yeah, for us, it's really Unilever, Nestle, etc. They have such a long supply chain to the supermarkets. They have to give a margin to everyone, and at the beginning, they have to produce their products as cheap as possible. So they make it very unhealthy, very unsustainable, because it's all about margins in business. We really want to do that different, and we try to give that to the people. We also set up a lot of social initiatives. We just show who we are and why we are doing business. It's not for the money, it's really to make impact, and I think that resonates with a lot of people. So it's on the long term, and I think you need to make smart deals, like really think about the other party. Well, for example, we were at every festival last summer, Pukkelpop, Rock Factor, Weekend Dance, etc. We really talked together with them. How can you get as much value as possible? We had a proof of concept with Rockwerchter that people were waiting 2 hours in the line to get a wonder look, a festival look, and that's really what they like. They also want to give the best festival experience. So we try to make very good deals. We try to really inform the PR, the pers, as much as possible with everything we do. We advertise those articles for betrokkenheid, bekendheid. And I think it's a slow process, but we are here for the long term. We never want to sell our company, and I'm not against people who want to do that. It's a choice, but we are here for the long term, so I have patience, and that's why we focus a lot on the long-term brand building and not the short-term revenues.
We are still doing the opposite, but I think what you can see with Tibbe, I really like following Wonder, among others, on LinkedIn and on socials, and it's genuine, right? And whatever Coca-Cola does, it's not gonna feel genuine. Okay, the Christmas ads are beautifully created, but it's not this energetic person standing in front of you, actually helping their team on the actual, like on a festival, for example. So I think the genuine part, you cannot do it as a big company, nor can you be as nimble. And that is, I think, where we are different. I think every single publisher could have done personalized books well, but none of them have. I don't know why. I'll ask them one day. But I've heard, like, I've been to publishers trying to sell our software, and they all said, no, it's too niche, which is fair, until it is not anymore. Yeah. And your question is a fundamental question about whether or not, like, why does Apple exist when there was other companies already out there way bigger in mobile. I think it's vision, genuinity, that kind of stuff, and persistence.
Apple 1984, for information, aired once.
Sorry?
1984, the famous commercial, it aired once in the US. But it was then added on with Steve Jobs going out to schools, genuine, just what you talked about.
All right, thank you.
It's a lot of 360 as well. Yeah. Never do one thing, but really like try to connect all the dots, all the marketing dots, and of course it was aired once, but it was not the only communication they brought out. They did a lot of things around it, and then it clicks.
Right, thank you. Other questions? There's one in the back. I don't know who has the box.
Just okay, works well. Question. So I'm from an agency, so not a brand, but I had a question. I heard Tibbe talking about using AI with like Maker.ai. I looked it up for
Maker.com.
Maker.com, yeah, because I came to something else first. But anyway, question is here. Production of content is also sometimes pretty frustrating or a lot of time consuming for our brands or our clients. And I would like to know like how you actually integrate the Maker AI or .com tool exactly.
Yeah, make.com is it? It is, but it's mostly for repetitive things. So I would never use it to make content as a final thing. It can be like a first step to get inspiration, to make a first visual, but would also like always add your touch to it. So I would use it as a tool. Like I'm not gonna build the house with a hammer, and it's a tool. So we do a lot of internally, and a lot of agencies for things that you're not expert in or that you want to outsource because you don't want to focus on it. But we try to do a lot of internally and create the content ourselves with our content team. Use it as a tool, the AI.
Okay, so but can you give like a practical example so I understand?
Yeah, for example, Leonardo.ai. That's a nice one to create images. And instead of looking up on the internet all kind of images and create it with Photoshop, the first steps, we try to use, for example, Leonardo, and based on that image that we get, we add our touch with it, with Photoshop or with Canva. Videos, it's indeed telling your story, and I mean, it takes 5 minutes to take up your phone and tell the story, and it doesn't need to be all that fancy, it doesn't need to be TV worthy, it just needs to be authentic and about your story and what you believe in.
I also think like a lot of AI at the moment still is just efficiency gains. So for us, the new versions of Photoshop have made it so much easier to add the personalization elements, because for us every country has a different, like, it's stupid, but the different name because it's another language. And they usually have different names, and all these kind of like things have become way easier just within the AI availabilities in Shopify.
Okay.
Shopify in Photoshop.
But that's what I thought, so glad to hear you didn't invent something crazy. Ali, we'd also be happy for you. Huh?
Right.
It's mostly about the message, right? Who cares if it's a bit more beautiful or, yeah, I mean, some businesses, of course, much more important. But I mean, it's mostly about the message and what you're really trying to do and bring it out there.
Other questions? Okay, I still have a few, so okay, there.
Maybe just a thought for BubblyDoo, I think, BubblyBoo, not sure, Do. Toine, one of the more obvious cases, I think, for personalization and AI, and combining the two, would be to take a picture of your child and match it to a certain avatar. Is that something that came up already, or?
Yes, that's what I meant with the in-house products. So
okay.
for licensing, impossible, because the moment something is not approved, it doesn't work anymore. So what you could do is label it, like, okay, so we take a picture of you and then we label an existing hairstyle getting closest to yours, but it takes half a minute to do it, and the mom loves it, and it's 85% mom, so and they love doing it, so I don't see that one immediately. I do very much see like taking the picture and then it has an automated version, an avatar in a certain style. That one I see happening for sure. But it's just one of the possibilities. I also don't think now that AI is such a hype, we need to throw it at everything. So I don't think we need to necessarily do it immediately. Sometimes just doing the things that already work better and more is perfect. And then not doing AI is sometimes not the most hype choice, but it does deliver the most company value at the moment. So that's what we're currently going for.
Makes sense, yeah.
Right. Other questions from the audience? Otherwise, I'll... Oh, damn it, John.
Brent, for you, has anything changed in terms of like the whole ChatGPT hype with your own tools internally? I know you've used them, but have you actually integrated one of the, let's say, the bigger LLMs or something within the whole company, within the core product?
Or internally or for our customers?
Actually, in the, let's say, the combination of all the data sources, is there an LLM in between somewhere that helps out, or is it your own proprietary tool?
No, it's our own proprietary tool. But like, yeah, it will be the next big thing. And that's also what like the big guys from Horowitz to Sequoia Capital believe in. Like, if a health company or a health tech company can combine all data sources and combine it with an language models or PHLM, a personal health language model, then you can get like, if you see, I think at the moment there are in between 100 and 150 million searches on Google each day. That's people are like, looking into health-related questions. And if you can get an answer really on your personalized data, it will be big. But it's something, we're like looking into and something which is on our, not directly on our roadmap, but it's something we know about.
Thanks.
Right, final question from the audience in the back.
Almost didn't catch the mic. One question for all of you. So I think especially Tibbe was talking about that marketing 360 and having to do a little bit of everything. But obviously, as a brand founder, your time on one hand is limited, your resources on the other hand are also limited. How do you choose what's the next thing you're going to work on in terms of expanding your market marketing presence, not only countries but also channels? Like, how do you choose to go to TikTok or maybe Amazon, and what's the rationale behind it?
Yeah, like he said, it's about testing. As we tested Amazon in Germany, we had to wait for a very long time to get a VAT number, and eventually we stopped it because it didn't work out for us. It works out very well for Loop. We test a lot, and time by time we choose to be the last 5-6 years in Flanders. I think that's also a big reason, and doing step by step and making priorities. Yeah.
Do you choose what to test now? Like, what's the next test in line? How do you choose that?
It's availability of the team, and for example, influencers are extremely important. Where we get the biggest ROI in terms of brand building and in terms of short-time revenue, we choose what to do first.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks for time for my questions again. Maybe a last general one, looking into 2025. Again, some still need to do quite a lot of revenue before until Christmas. What's like the biggest challenge that you see for you and your company in 2025? Anyone who wants to start?
I will. I think for us it will be around data captation and the possibilities that we can do with all the data, because what we feel and what we see at the moment with the AI part, and we talked a lot about AI, but what we see at the moment, it's going really really rapid. So I think it's our main focus, and it's also something where we have the next few days meetings about, and really the AI part, because we believe that with the data we have, that we can do some big things.
Okay, cool. Tibbe?
We want to raise a big funding round. I think that's a big thing for us, and we want to showcase as much synergies as possible between the brands, because we believe in a buy and build strategy of healthy, sustainable consumer brands, and get the synergies between them.
So the funding will be for Planet B or for...
To scale up the current products and to Netherlands. I think that's going to be that for the next year. And to showcase really the synergies between the brands and to enrich our data of all the customers we have, so that we can really utilize the data for the other brands, and that's the biggest one.
Nice, thank you. Julie?
For us it's a breakthrough in the running category, really expand into more stores, and also get the D2C platforms in the US, find our customers and at good ROAS. That's the most important. And I'm also looking into new funding round with, I hope, a US investor.
Nice.
For me, it's customer lifetime value. So we really focused last 2 years on profitability on the first unit. So not yet branding. Then now we are there. So then that means you can scale at a way faster rate. And then now it is customer lifetime value, getting people to buy multiple times, of course, but then also getting them to buy for every single moment that exists in terms of gifting, because you can buy a book for Christmas, and then a backpack for back to school, and then a towel in summer, but all personalized. That's what we're going for. Generative AI as a separate tryout, really testing it, see if it converts well enough. And then, I think doing the same but bigger, scaling up.
All right, thank you. To wrap up the founders panel, there's a tradition that we do, that's rapid fire questions. Yes, you don't have to try to break your neck, it won't work. I'll read out the question, I'll read out a few options, and answer as quickly as possible on what you want to answer. We'll always start here with Brent, and we will work our way through it. So, First question, only sell online or offline?
Online.
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 Second one, Meta, Google or TikTok?
Meta.
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 Your most used technology at the company?
Externally or internally?
Internally.
Yeah, our own algorithms.
Slack, Odoo, Shopify.
Yeah, or ERP and Shopify.
Yeah, our customization engine.
Commerce brand to watch in Belgium, not in Belgium, one to really keep an eye on?
I think upfront in the Netherlands.
Sure. And Loop is also a very great example, of course.
If I look in the run space on running,
GoFluo for gold and Wild, of course.
Nice. I wish there wasn't the next slide. Final piece of advice to give to the audience.
Difficult one. I think, like, yeah, for any entrepreneur or like, yeah, people that want to start up something, we can say a lot about our experiences, but I think we all know that we don't know everything, and sometimes it's just like, yeah, starting up and executing, and that's also what entrepreneurship is about.
Would say try to go to profitability as soon as possible for myself.
Yeah, for me, I think the most annoying thing I'm struggling with, it's not struggling, but I'm a bit annoyed about, is that Belgium is so small and then divided already in 3 languages. So I think maybe in the beginning we directly translated everything and did everything like in several languages. But maybe I would start now only in English, like, and yeah, save the time to other things like real sales focus as a founder maybe in the beginning.
Interesting.
It's more of a consistency one. So I think what's underestimated is that usually the big break takes a very, very long time. And I've seen it for us that people were always saying, oh, what are you doing with the children's books thingy, that kind of stuff. Until then we signed Studio 100, which was for me not really a difference in terms of sales, in terms of anything, but at once it was cool from the outside. And I think as a founder, as an employee, anyone, I think just consistent hard work for a very long time eventually pays off. That's it.
Nice. Thanks to all of you, and I think it's time for a break.